All right, you guys. Rob from Buckeyes Battle Cry here with my co-host Peter. How you doing, Peter?
Doing well out in Cali, man, living the lifestyle.
Yeah, definitely. We got a lot of topics for you. We have the 12-team playoff rankings. We have who's in and who's out during the turmoil that is the Michigan Wolverines coaching staff. Just a complete letdown. We're also going to be talking about what was the other
Yeah,
thing?
all the 12-team playoffs.
Yeah. Who will we're also be talking about who will win the Big Ten, and then
Yep.
we're gonna briefly discuss Ohio State Northwestern at the end. We all know how it's gonna go.
Yeah.
But for the 12-team playoff rankings, and of course, I did my research, so buckle in. It's gonna
Buckle
be
up.
buckle up. It's gonna be quite the analysis. So number one is Oregon. Their
Of course.
their strength of schedule is 51. Their best win was number 2 Ohio State by 1 point. Um they pretty much control their own destiny to the number 1 seed. They don't have anybody challenging until possibly the Big Ten championship, depending on who they could play. It could be Indiana, it could be Penn State, it could be Ohio State, but they control their own destiny to the number 1 seed, the college football playoffs. Number 2, Texas, strength of schedule 11. Best wins, Michigan, because they were ranked then, and Oklahoma, who is currently unranked.
Yep.
Their loss, which was pretty bad. Georgia, they got beat at home, 30-15. It was just a complete awful display of Texas football from what they were. They had a really off game against Georgia.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, Ewers got sacked like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, he
I
did.
still like their chances to win the SEC and whoever they play with. So I'm gonna keep them, predict that they'll stay at that number 2 spot. Number
Okay.
three,
Okay.
which is really it's really surprising. Whoever thought I'd be saying BYU, Brigham Young University, the School of Mormons.
Was it 1984 again? They won the title in 84. Is it 1984 again?
I don't know, man. But so their strength of schedule is 35. Their best win is number 14 SMU at SMU. Now, why it's a big win is because SMU's obviously ranked, I said 14, and they are they're the second team out of the college football playoffs, so they're really close. But they're currently undefeated. I like they've find ways to win. They find ways to win football games since we've seen in the past. They found a way to win against Utah, and
Yep.
when you think they're out, they're gonna come back. And the key is they find ways to win. I know I've said that before. I've probably said that too many times
It is
now.
remarkable.
Yeah, it is pretty remarkable. But as of right now, they're gonna hold that 3 spot. Number 4, Miami. They have the 22nd best strength of schedule. Their best win is against Louisville,
Yep.
which they got really lucky. They lost to unranked Georgia Tech. They lost to unranked Georgia Tech. I knew eventually the luck would run out, and they're not as good. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're a good team, but there's still some flaws. Their biggest flaws, their defense. They need to win the ACC in order to. They don't win the ACC, they're not in. They're not.
Agreed.
Number 6. Well, number 5, Ohio State. Now, their strength of schedule is number 7. Best wins, Iowa. They won against number 3 Penn State in Happy Valley, which was pretty
What
impressive.
rankings are these
Now,
again?
they're the 12-team playoff
I
rankings.
thought Ohio State was number 2.
No, I'm talking about the seeding.
The
I'm talking
college
about this.
football. Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
this is the seeding.
The seeding, right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So their one Happy Valley was impressive. Their quality loss, they lost to Oregon by 1 at Autzen Stadium.
Yeah, they did.
Oregon was previously 36-1. So good quality loss. So as of right now, they control their own destiny as well. They have Indiana coming up. Indiana is undefeated, their first 10-0 season. Kirk Cignetti has really turned that program around for the 1 year that he's had. So if Ohio State wins that game, they go into the Big Ten championship, and they either keep it close to Oregon again and lose, or they win. That's their only way in. They lose,
Do you think we have a chance at redemption?
big chance of redemption. Again, Ohio State hasn't played their best football. They had a lot of miscues, a lot of penalties in that game against Oregon. So I think they have a really big chance. And I'm gonna stick to it. They're gonna get the redemption.
I think so.
All right. Number 6, Penn State. Their strength of schedule is 15. Best win, Illinois was ranked when they played them. So Illinois. Wisconsin. The reason why I'm saying Wisconsin is because it's in Camp Randall. Wisconsin is notorious for giving teams trouble in Camp Randall. So that
At
was an
night
impressive
too.
win. Yeah, and at night. Can't forget that, and at night. And when they played USC, it was in Pasadena, and USC was ranked then. So they lost to OSU by 7 at home.
Yeah.
They need to win out. Again, there could be a tiebreaker in the Big Ten, but they need to win out even to be considered. All right. Number 7, Indiana. Strength of schedule, 56. Their best win so far is against Nebraska. They blew the doors off that game, ran Nebraska off the field. Nebraska was ranked then. So that's the best team they played so far. Left to
Okay.
play, number 2, Ohio State. So they also control their destiny to the Big Ten championship. And if they make it and lose to Oregon, they're still going to get in. But
Yep.
so here's the scenarios for them to get in, because before that they didn't really play anybody. Yeah, they played a good Michigan defense, but Michigan is, they're not that good this year. The
Yeah.
rest the rest of their teams, they weren't even relevant.
That's true. That's facts.
Uh Besides, I guess, Nebraska. So in order for them to make it, they must keep it close with Ohio State, or they need to get to the Big Ten championship win, or lose closely to Oregon if they make it.
11-1. Are they in?
Yeah, I think they're in. They keep it close.
11-1 blowout loss to Ohio State. Are they in?
Probably not, due to their strength of schedule, and
Hmm.
they haven't really had a good quality win. You
So they
can't
need a
really
close loss, is what you're saying,
they need a close loss of the shoe in order to
or
be
obviously a win, of course.
or obviously when considered. Because if you look at their best win, Nebraska, they're not even relevant right now.
They're
So
not. They're not.
yeah,
They're not.
yeah. So coming at number 9 is Notre Dame. Strength of schedule, 20th. Their best wins is Texas A&M. Texas A&M really turned around by who is it? Mike Elko.
Yep.
So really turned that program around ever since
Yeah.
Jimbo Fisher
Yep.
departed. So that's a good quality win. They beat Louisville when they were ranked, which is a good win. The reason why I'm saying Georgia Tech is because Georgia Tech is actually competitive. They beat Miami, so that looks a lot better for that win against Georgia Tech.
It
What
does look
doesn't
good.
look good is their loss to Northern Illinois in the beginning of the season.
I
So
still don't understand that, bro.
no, I don't. It just seems that
Got
their
caught
head
slipping.
their head coach has a knack of losing to. I mean, remember they lost to Marshall, and
Yeah.
it seems they lose to a team yearly who they're not supposed to lose to.
His
So
his his Marcus Freeman's college coach Jim Tressel never lost to those games.
no, I mean it is what it is at this point, man. Left to play, number 16 Army and USC. They must win out to beat. They have no room for error at all.
Agreed.
They don't. Other than Texas A&M, Louisville, and Georgia Tech, that loss to Northern Illinois really sunk them. So if they don't win out, they're not getting in. They could beat
I
Army, yeah. If they lose to Army or USC, they're not getting in. There's no room for error at
there's
all.
no way.
No. Coming in at well, actually, I got Notre Dame and Tennessee swapped. So Notre Dame was number 9, number 8 Tennessee. Their strength of schedule was 13. Best wins Oklahoma and number 9 Alabama, who is currently 10th in the seeding of the college football playoff. So those
Okay.
are good. Those are good wins. Lost to Arkansas, who's currently unranked. Not a good look. I watched the end of that game. Their quarterback, Nico, he didn't even try to throw it. He ran out of bounds, got knocked over. The rest is
Yeah,
history. They
of
lost.
course.
Left to play. They're playing number 11 Georgia. So what happened is they must win out or have a close loss to Georgia. Because remember, there's talks about so remember how I predicted that there will be no undefeated SEC teams? Well, there's
You
none.
sure did.
And now the conversation is could there be 2 loss SEC teams getting into the playoff? And it is possible. So they must win out or close loss to Georgia to be even
Mm-hmm.
considered. Coming in at number 10, Alabama Crimson Tide.
The Tide.
It seems like the committee has a hard time in keeping them out. So this strength of schedule is second ranked. Their best wins, number 11 Georgia, number 24 Missouri, number 21 LSU at LSU. Blew the doors off that team,
Sure
42 to
did.
13. Really impressive. Jalen Monroe got 4 rushing touchdowns. But they
What's
lost
your
to
view of Alabama, bro? I need to know.
their so they are obviously offensive minded team. They're just maybe they hit their stride, maybe they didn't. Looks like they've improved a lot since their loss to Tennessee.
Okay.
But so their loss, they lost to number 6 Tennessee at Tennessee by 1 score, which that's good because Tennessee is currently the number 8th ranked in the seeding for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they lost to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has been competitive. They were ranked, then not ranked, and ranked. They kept it close with Texas.
Yeah.
And they kept it close to Alabama. They're a competitive team, so obviously the committee's like, we'll keep them where they're at. That was a quality loss. Left to
Okay.
play Mercer, Oklahoma, and Auburn. They need to win out. They're at that 2-loss threshold.
Yeah.
But they remember the discussion is there could be 2-loss SEC teams, so they need to win out in order to get in. Number 11, Ole Miss. Strength of schedule, number 5. They got the 5th ranked strength of schedule. Best
Okay.
wins, Oklahoma and Georgia. Georgia's impressive win. They I think they won 28 to 10. But they lost to LSU and Kentucky. Now Kentucky's that's not good. They should have won that game, but Lane Kiffin has a knack for blowing games that, it seems like Ole Miss is just ready to take over the SEC. You can just feel it. And then they lose a game
Then
they
they don't
drop
do it.
games, then they don't do it. So they must win out. Left to play is Florida and Mississippi State.
They
They're one
should
of
win
the
both.
Yeah, they should win both. So I have them. They're at that 1 loss. Actually, no, they're at that 2-loss threshold. What am I saying? They're at that
Yeah.
2-loss threshold. So there's literally no room for error.
They can't fall again.
Yeah. Number 12, Boise State.
The Broncos.
Strength of schedule 66. Best wins Washington State 45 to 24. So Washington State was ranked at the time. I think, yeah, but their quality loss, they lost to number 1 Oregon 37-34. They don't, due to the strength of schedule, number 66, the 66th best. They must win out in order to make it. They're at one loss due to the strength of schedule and the conference they play
Yeah.
in. They need to win out in order to
Yep.
make it. So the first out, Georgia's the first out. Okay, so
Wow.
strength, and this is why strength of schedule number one. All right, best wins, Clemson, who's ranked number 17th right now. Kentucky. Why I'm saying Kentucky? Because it was at Kentucky at night, and they've always kept it close at night, been
They always
competitive.
do.
In their best win, so when they played Texas, Texas was the number one team. They not only won at Texas, but they won convincingly 30-15, complete dominance on defense. Their losses, well, they just lost number 10 Ole Miss 28-10, so that's a quality loss. And they lost to Alabama 41 to they lost to Alabama 41-34 in a classic. So, in order for Georgia to get in, because they're at that 2-loss threshold, in order for them to get in, 1 second. In
Not sure
order
what
for
happened there.
It's all good. In order for Georgia to get in, they must beat Tennessee this weekend, or
Okay.
they're done. They're out. There's no redemption at all. They're out of the college football playoffs. It's not happening.
Hmm.
So they need to beat Tennessee. So the second team out, Southern Methodist University. Strength
SMU.
Strength of schedule 40. Best wins Louisville at Louisville 34-27. And they just completely routed undefeated Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
Then
they did.
Pittsburgh's really good this season. They're competitive. It's a good quality win because they were both undefeated. Well, Pittsburgh was undefeated. So their quality loss, they lost to BYU, who is currently the third seed in the college football playoff, which I just talked about, and they lost 18-15, and they need to win out. There's no due to the strict schedule in the conference. Well, aren't they in the I'm trying to think. What conference is SMU in?
They're in the Big 12.
Gotcha. So they must win out. There's no room for error at all.
They have to win the Big 12 title.
So the team who I see, I'm gonna go back to Georgia. The team who I see sneaking back in
Hmm.
is they're gonna sneak back in. I think
I agree.
they get it done against Tennessee. That
I agree.
moves Tennessee down.
Yep.
Let's look
Yep.
at Alabama.
It's in
So
Athens. That's why they beat them this
yeah,
weekend.
yeah. It's in Athens. You know that Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs defense is going to show up. Not going to rely on Carson Beck. He's been terrible. He
Yeah, 12 picks.
12 picks this season. You can't get much worse than that. So I see
17 touchdowns.
Georgia sneaking back in there after they beat Tennessee.
I agree.
And honestly, I could see Miami losing in the ACC championship game
Really?
to Clemson. I really could. Um,
Okay. Okay.
and then SMU, they went out. They're in.
Okay.
And
I see.
also, here are the scenarios for the Big Ten.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Oregon, they control their destiny. They're gonna get in no matter what. They're gonna get
Yep.
in no matter what. They lose
Same
the
for
Big
Ohio
Ten
State.
championship, they get in. Ohio State, if they lose to Indiana, we're talking about a different discussion here.
Really?
We're talking about, did they keep it close in the shoe? What does Indiana go
Yeah.
on to lose in the Big Ten championship?
I think they're in if they win or lose to versus Indiana personally.
Man, that's
Indiana's top 5, Oregon's number 1, Penn State was top 5.
there could be a
There's an
scenario.
argument.
Yeah, there's an argument for it. So for Indiana to get in, they either need to keep it close and at the shoe, or they need to win out and they have room
Yeah.
to win in the Big Ten lose
Yep.
in the Big Ten
Yep.
championship game.
Yep.
Penn State, if they went out,
They're in.
they're in. They're
Period.
even
And
if
they
they don't
should
make the
win
Big
out.
Ten.
They should
Period.
easily.
They win. They
Easily.
should. They
Yeah,
should.
nobody left.
So you
That's
could
tough.
potentially have 4 Big Ten teams in the college football playoff. Now
It could
that
be.
and so let's revisit the video we talked about the teams
Yeah.
that would benefit from a expanded college football playoff. Penn State is one of them. Cuz if this is last season, they're not getting in. They're not.
They're
But
not.
because it's
That's true.
expanded, there's room for error here. The
Yeah.
error was against a very talented Ohio State team. And so all they need to do is win out.
Okay.
So what do you think, Peter? What are your thoughts on these rankings? What are your thoughts on
I think Indiana is rightly placed finally. They're in the top 5. They should be. They're undefeated. They're going to be 10-0 when we play them in a week and a half's time from now. It's going to be a top 5 showdown, just like 2020 was a top 10 showdown. I'm excited, bro. I can't wait to play Indiana. They're high flying offense versus our secondary and our defensive line, our linebackers, Styles and Simon. Arvell Reese is stepping up. He played well last week. Now, I fell asleep during the third quarter. I admit it. I did. I fell asleep. But Arvell Reese made some hits, bro. I'm excited about our linebacking crew in the future. Arvell Reese and CJ Hicks, Simon and Styles. Our D line is stepping up. JTT is doing better. He's okay. I like Sawyer more. He's an Ohio dude anyway, not from Washington. And of course, Caleb Downs, he's finally producing stats. That's what I like to see. He's producing statistics and hard hits, big plays. I love to see it from Caleb Downs. He's doing what I expected him to do in the Buckeye defense this year.
honestly, I think he was still like learning the system.
It was a different 4-2-5, right?
Yeah, a way different 4-2-5.
Now, the Georgia Tennessee game, you mentioned that briefly. What do you think? We both think Georgia's going to win. I know that's going away from what I've been saying, but I never thought they were going to lose to Tennessee. Even after I saw Tennessee's offense with Nico go crazy, I thought Georgia would still win. So, why does Georgia win in your opinion versus Tennessee this weekend?
Wait. So wait, could you say that? Could you say that last?
Georgia's going to win, but why are they going to win?
But wait, didn't you just say that Georgia lost to Tennessee? Like, you mean Ole Miss or?
No. I said I never thought they'd lose to Tennessee.
Oh,
And
okay.
they're not going to lose to Tennessee, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
You know, I made a video about Georgia, and it was about Ohio State being ranked over Georgia in the college football playoffs. So
Sophia,
what I
over
said in
there.
there is that there is not much like consistency with this Georgia football team. Are we gonna get the Georgia team that we saw against Texas? Or are we
Right.
gonna get the Georgia team who almost lost Kentucky or Mississippi State
Guess
or
we'll find out, right?
Florida? So we're gonna find out. But if it's the team that showed up against Texas, you better believe that Georgia's gonna get it done.
This is why I think Georgia's going to win, because they're playing at home. It's that simple for me. Tennessee on the road is not Tennessee in Knoxville, okay? It's not the same team.
Yeah.
Now, Ohio State, Northwestern, real briefly, unless you have something else to say, Georgia, Tennessee, of course.
No, I don't have anything. I think the Bulldogs.
Okay, bring up Ohio State versus Northwestern banner if you don't mind. And we'll talk Buckeyes versus Wildcats live from Wrigley Field this weekend, bro. I thought about getting tickets to this game, but obviously I'm in California now, so I can't go. But do you think Ohio State will win by 30 or more?
Yeah, I
You do.
I think they will. I think Ohio State.
Do you have a score prediction? I didn't see on the live what the scores were.
I forgot what I put. I think it was like Ohio State's going to score in the 40s.
I think mine is 42-7. Not because Northwestern's good, because we're not gonna go all out this game. We're just not.
Yeah, I think that they're gonna save it for
Indiana
Indiana. So
and Michigan, of course.
I think yeah, Indiana and Michigan. I think alone on talent, just Ohio State's gonna get it
That
done.
looks good, man. That looks good. Okay, nice,
Yeah.
man. Well, I think the Bucks are going to handle business in the Windy City this weekend. I don't think they'll have any problems stopping a pathetic Northwestern offense and moving the ball offensively. We're going to keep it pretty vanilla, I would expect, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, hey,
I think
man, I should probably get going. I got to cook some dinner, but it was good talking with you. Good seeing your face again, man. If you want to keep going, by all means, keep going. If not, just end it here, and we'll go off of the live. You got more to say? Say it, bro.
all right, man. Later,
I'll
brother.
see you.
See ya. All right, you guys. So what I have left on the lineup to talk about is who will win the Big Ten. So the current so there could be a tiebreaker. There's talks of a tiebreaker based off strength of schedule, quality losses, just trick, just point differential in games. So we have Oregon, who's currently ranked number one in the seeding college football playoff. We have Indiana at 7, Ohio State at 5, Penn State at 6. There could be a tiebreaker with those teams to win the Big Ten, to make it the Big Ten championship. So Oregon controls their own destiny. They're going to be there. It's now just a matter of Indiana, Ohio State, and Penn State. So let's say that we have a scenario where Indiana beats Ohio State. Ohio State's not going to the Big Ten championship. Indiana will win out, and they'll be facing Oregon. But let's say that Ohio State beats. Let's say that Ohio State beats Indiana and then loses to Michigan. That's when it gets real interesting. We're talking about we're talking about Indiana beat Michigan, but Indiana lost to Ohio State. Ohio State lost to Michigan, but beat Indiana. So we're looking at it there. Also, we're looking at 3 one-loss Big Ten teams. So it'll be interesting that happens to see who the tiebreaker would be. But if I was a betting man, if there was a tiebreaker, Indiana, Ohio State, and Penn State, I would have to say that Indiana would get the nod. They've been the most impressive team. If Ohio State loses to Michigan, they're going to look at that and they would see that Indiana beat Michigan, as well as Penn State wouldn't get in if that happened because Penn State lost to Ohio State, and you have Indiana who lost to Ohio State. So I think in a tiebreaker, Indiana ends up playing Oregon. But I'm gonna stick to my prediction. Ohio State has not played their best football yet. And because what I saw during that game against Oregon is that there were a lot of penalties, a lot of miscues that just I don't even know what Will Howard was thinking. As a quarterback, you need to know what the play clock is and the game clock. And I get it, he was trying to win it out for his team, getting closer to field goal range and being able to have his team win, but not a smart move. It was also in coaching. So Ohio State's really hitting their stride now. They suffered that heartbreaking loss in Autzen Stadium where Oregon was previously 36-1, and they've definitely hit their stride. They figure out the offensive line problem. They move Jackson out to left tackle, insert Hinsman at left guard. They rushed for 108 yards against Penn State, a top 10 rushing defense. And so I think that Ohio State's going to beat Indiana. They are going to go to the Big Ten championship game, and they are going to get their revenge against Oregon. You heard it here. And the reason why I'm saying this because there was a lot of hype in the media, a lot of overhype. It wasn't all sunshine in Columbus. There was a quarterback problem. We didn't really know about Will Howard, but it looks like Will Howard is a true leader, a natural born leader, and he is, in no doubt, meant to be the quarterback at Ohio State. And we had offensive line problems. All it took was Simmons to go down. And you know what? I hope he still gets drafted high. He was in position to be an All-American. But all it took was one key offensive lineman to go down. And they're scrambling around to make sure their line is attacked to keep Junkins and Henderson their run game intact. I mean, we have too much talent in the backfield in order for that to happen. And you could thank Justin Fry for that. You could thank Justin Fry for that. The recruiting sucks. The development is okay. Actually, no, it's actually a lot better. But look at Michigan's team last season. I think it was Zenter who went down. They just inserted another one, and their run game still kept rolling. But so what saved Justin Fry's season is Ohio State's offensive line is a Joe Moore Award semifinalist. That is huge. The offensive line has been an issue for the last 3 years. They finally got it right. And so that is why I think that Ohio State goes on to win the Big Ten championship. All right. So got one more topic, and then I'm out. Let's talk about the turmoil that's going on in Michigan. You know, I didn't expect this team to have such a downfall so quick. I mean, they had a good amount of defenders coming back. They have 3 or 4 first rounders. Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Josiah Stewart, Will Johnson. Uh, I was still going to give Donovan Edwards a chance, see if he could be more consistent. There was a lot of hype at Alex Orji. I just wasn't buying into it though. Wasn't buying into it. And so I just wasn't expecting their downfall, even though there was a lot of hype. And I honestly was expecting them to only lose about 2 or 3 games all season. Their losses, Oregon, Texas, and Ohio State. I was not expecting them to lose to Washington or Illinois. And wasn't, the script flipped once you saw those 3 games. Like, oh man, Michigan's in a lot of trouble. What's going on with Wink Martindale? He hasn't seemed to want to, like, they swore he was the godfather of the system, and they don't even have a top 10 defense. They don't have a top 20 defense. They have 116th best passing defense. Their rush defense is fine. It's top 10, but it's not to where it should be. I mean, he's a lot of blitzes, and they're lucky that USC didn't end up beating them. So Michigan was up 28-10 at one. I think it was 28-10 at one point. And USC almost came back and won. It took Michigan the last minute of the game or to get ahead and win that game. And Minnesota looked like that game was out of reach, but Minnesota almost came back and won. And Michigan was lucky that wasn't I guess it wasn't offsides on the onside kick, because Minnesota really had a chance to win that game. And don't even get me started on the offense. It is complete trash. They don't have a quarterback, but they swear that the quarterback is Warren. He's not QB1. Michigan doesn't have a QB. They're just plugging and playing and praying that something sticks. And it happens. They swore Alex Orji was like the next big thing. Some were calling him Cam Newton. Give me a break. He's not even close. Not even close at all. He's just a distraction. And when he does come into the game, they know exactly what's going to happen. He's going to run because the dude can't throw. So Michigan's offense right now, they're bottom of the barrel. They're not ranked. I'm pretty sure they have the 125th best offense. They have the, in terms of rushing offense, they're not even, I don't even think they're top 60, top 50. And their passing offense, they're not even top 100. So there's a there's a lot of turmoil going on. They'll be lucky to make a bowl game. They're on a bye week. Maybe they figure it out. Maybe they won't. But if I was a betting man, I would not be surprised if they lost Northwestern. And I don't like making a prediction for the game, but I think they don't beat Ohio State this season. Ohio State's just too good. Yeah, they'll keep it close because it's the rivalry, but they're not going to win. So they may not even be bowl eligible, but they need the one win they need is against Northwestern. At least they'll finish the season 500. They'll get to the, I don't know, the Cheez-Its Bowl or the Chick-fil-A Bowl or the gosh, whatever bottom the barrel bowl there is. But there's a lot of talk about the staff. What staff is going to remain intact? There's talk that they all need to go. Sherrone Moore's not it, which, I agree. I even said at the beginning before the season started, as soon as they made him the coach, just the coronation of Sherrone Moore. Oh my gosh. He came in for Harbaugh. He won. He cried like a big baby after he beat Penn State. Come on, give me a break, man. Oh, Harbaugh's my boy. But is Harbaugh crying for him right now? Probably not. But the thing that Michigan fans did not see, and they were just so blinded by, we won our first national championship in 26 years. Oh, Sherrone Moore was plugged in. He beat Penn State. He helped us win out. He beat Ohio State. They especially got blinded by the fact they beat Ohio State. That's how they got blinded. But what actually happened is anybody could have coached that team. You could have put anybody on that staff in that situation, and they would have won with a national championship team that Harbaugh himself built. Sherrone Moore is in over his head. He is not cut out to be the Michigan head coach. But I guess they want to keep him there another year, give him some time. But there's not much wiggle room at all. We'll see what happens after the season with recruiting, NIL. We'll see if they land Bryce Underwood. It's the Bryce Underwood sweepstakes. They're willing to pay $10 million for one player, but yet Ohio State gets laughed at for paying $20 million to keep their roster intact and for the transfer portal. Give me a break. That's desperation. And the other thing is there's talk about firing Kirk Campbell. Now, Kirk Campbell was a really good quarterbacks coach, but he's just not cut to be an offensive coordinator. So he either takes a demotion or he gets out of town. He goes somewhere else, maybe a lower level school, be as an offensive coordinator there. But Michigan, like their offense is bad, and he's the play caller. Again, passing game rankings, bottom of the barrel. Rushing, I don't even think it's top 50. Overall offense, bottom of the barrel, 125th best. All right. He's not it at all. And in terms of the rest of the staff, secondary coach and just game call coordinators, I just don't think anybody should stay. Maybe they clean house. You know what? Here, since they're keeping Sherrone Moore around another year, Sherrone Moore is going to clean house. He may get rid of Wink, but one thing I will say about Wink Martindale is that he coached a great game against Indiana. It's the reason why they almost beat them. If they had a competent offense, a competent offense coordinator, play calling in general, they would have beat Indiana. Wink Martindale and his play calling and defense is what kept it close. So he may keep Martindale around another year, but just one more. But all the other staff, I think they gotta go. Maybe they keep around Tony Alford. I don't know. I think he's the run game coordinator. I mean, obviously he's the run backs coach. We'll see how he does in recruiting, but from my memory, he swung and missed on a lot of recruits at Ohio State towards the end. And he's more than likely going to do the same at Michigan. And again, the run game's not looking that good. So, who's going to stay? Who's going to go at Michigan? Only time will tell. What I'm hearing is Sherrone Moore is staying one more year. They may give him one more year, or maybe they'll change their minds if they lose terribly to Ohio State, or they lose to Northwestern, don't make a bowl game. But as of right now, Sherrone Moore staying, and we'll see what happens after the off season. But that's all I got for tonight. Thanks for tuning in. We're thinking about changing the days that we go live. We're thinking about doing Wednesday at 8:30, or maybe we'll keep it Thursday at 8:30. But stay tuned for that. We'll post something either tomorrow or the next day. But God bless and go Buckeyes.